Good morning. Welcome to Hardin County Commissioners Court. Today is Friday, June 30th, 2017, and it is 8:30 a.m. We have 4 members of the court present with Commissioner Pelt absent today. We have a quorum, and the meeting is called to order. Everyone will please rise for the invocation and the pledge. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for this fine group of people that I get to work with every day. Please guide us to make the right decisions for the county. As we move forward this weekend, on a holiday weekend, please watch over us and keep us safe. In your name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The main reason we're here today, the only reason we're here today, is to accept our outside audit report. And so we have Darla Deer, who's here today with Belt Harris Pahacek, LLP, for presentation and acceptance of outside audit report for fiscal year ended September 30th, 2016. Good morning, Ms. Deer.
Good morning. And I am Darla Deer with Belt Harris Pahacek, and here to present your annual financial report. And we'll briefly go over about the three most, or what we consider about the 3 most important pages out of your audit. And then after that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. If you will flip with me to page 5. This is where we offer our opinion on the audit, and you have received an unmodified opinion. That is the highest level of assurance that you can receive that there are no material misstatements and that all disclosures have been made in your audit. So great job on getting the unmodified opinion. Now, if you'll flip with me to page 29. This is a look at your revenues and expenditures, and this is on the GAAP basis that we're going over on this particular page. If you're looking on the total row, and we'll focus in on the general fund column, total revenues $14,934,578. Total expenditures $14,724,895. You had a transfer out with the revenues and expenditures. That net change in fund balance was a positive $160,597. Leaving you with an ending fund balance of $4,520,350. And that is the fund balance on the GAAP basis, which your bondholders, everybody that's looking at those financials, these are the numbers that they're looking at on this page. So if you will flip with me now to page 58.
Darla, can I just make a quick comment about the fund balance? The $4,523,050, that is going to be as of September 30th, 2016.
Yes, sir.
So then we transferred that $900,000 out during this fiscal year for the annex. So we need to take that off of this amount, and that should be about where we are. Correct?
Yeah,
Well, the sheet of paper that Angela provided y'all last Commissioners Court is the fund balance that they provided here is the GAAP on the GAAP basis. And she'll go into that.
Yeah, you'll see on this next page. That's where I'm going to take you on your next page. 58 and 59 is where we're going to start at, and this is the beginning of it. It'll flip over to this next page. But these are going to be your revenues. If you're looking at those columns going across, you'll see you have your actual amounts on your budgetary basis. Then we've got that budget to GAAP difference, and then you'll notice your actual amounts on a GAAP basis. So the actual amount on the GAAP basis is what I just went over on those revenues and expenditures. I believe the number that y'all usually use when you're doing your budget is on that budgetary basis. Y'all take the payroll accrual out to do that. So if you're flipping over to that next page, 60 and 61, you'll see the bottom line number. So that number, I believe that your discussion with Angela on your for your budget, I think what the number that she had was the $5,013,528. Okay.
Less all the things that are.
Yeah, less your $900,000 for the annex, and I think there was something else.
Some prepaid insurance
that
she took out.
Okay.
Because that had already been accrued, I think, at that point. And my understanding is that all of your accruals are done in the actual amounts, except the payroll, and that's the part that we're doing over on your actual amount. There is some kind of balance that's riding in that budget to gap difference, but that was on previous audits, so I'm not exactly sure how that balance accumulated in there. If it was, I don't believe that is only payroll, because payroll would be in and out, fluctuating, and you would not have that big difference. So somebody has made an entry at some point that hasn't been adjusted for. Those are about the three most important pages that we consider, but I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. I did make a few notes as far as when I was looking at your books. The county they have over 45 funds. You'll notice in your audit that we have condensed some of those funds. Although y'all have more than 45, our disclosures have 45 showing. Okay, so other notes that I made on the amounts of journal entries that I've done. I probably, in most of the counties that I'm probably doing in excess of 20 adjusting journal entries. The least amount that I have done at a county has been 6. You were sitting at 9. So I just wanted to tell you, your auditor's office, they're doing an outstanding job on, we did not have to make that very, very many adjusting entries. And I know a lot of that she was trying to take care of, Angela and Candace, they were trying to take care of that before we got to the books. So that the adjusting journal entries, that we would not have as many. And so I just wanted to point that out to you, the difference of what I would see at a normal place that I had to do a bunch of cleanup on is probably going to be in excess of 20. And we did 9. One of those was y'all's a journal entry that y'all were giving us after we got the trial balance. They were giving us entries that they saw that they had missed. So we don't consider that our entries, we consider that theirs. So,
Well, thank you.
Great
Thank
job.
you, Candace, and thanks to Angela as well.
Yeah, great job. One of the other things that we noticed when we were going through there was the capital assets. We got a PDF file from the previous auditors, so we went through and had to hard key those, get them into an Excel spreadsheet. And then we took the printout off of what your purchasing department has. They're keeping up with those capital assets. When we compared those lists, we found $1.7 million worth of capital assets that had not been previously disclosed on your audit. So we added those in there as your restatement. So you'll see a restatement paragraph in there for those capital assets. Now, along with the 1.7, that carried 1.4 million in accumulated depreciation. So the net effect to your net position, now it's not affecting fund balance because this is on governmental accounting, but on the net position page, that increased your net position by about 276,000.
Why do you think that was missed?
I'm not sure. It's hard to tell, because we're picking up what they did on that spreadsheet. And I've discussed with Angela and Candace, probably one of the things that needs to look at during the year is them going through those capital assets, making sure that the ones that the previous auditors had on their listing are correct and true. So, there's no way for us to validate that those capital assets, whether you have a maintainer that's out there that's from 2005, that really is still on that list. So
is there anything on the county end that we could do for best practices to assist with that?
Well, we've discussed a few things. Maybe everybody getting together, do an inventory list in everybody's department, and we're talking about capital assets that are over 5,000. So your big items, not computers and adding machines, that kind of thing. So we're looking for big ticket items. But probably go through capital assets, so maybe even divide them up by department so that everybody sees what's on that listing, and that you can, as commissioners, look at it and go, we hadn't had that maintainer in 10 years.
Right.
Okay, that would be one way to actually go through there and look at that.
So we might have to do that like end of year.
And at least minimize it down so that we'll have less to look at, because I know we have a fixed asset stack of papers to go through. It's about that thick.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Darla. Anything further?
No, that's about it. That's kind of the highlights that I noted when I was going through there, so I just wanted to point those things out, and anyway.
Commissioner Cooper?
$17,818 in the district attorney's seizure funds. Has that been addressed with the district attorney?
My understanding is that is an old amount. We briefly talked about it, that it was something that, and I'm not even sure where that amount came from. So if they go back and they do the research as far as trying to find out who that money belongs to, whether it was actually forfeited to the county and it's county money, or at some point, because right now it's riding as a liability for the county, okay?
Right, it says according to the corrective action plan, the district attorney's office will investigate the unidentified amount. So, once they do that, and I might be asking a question that's out of your jurisdiction, but once they do that, how do we know what the disposition is?
Well, I think that's probably gonna be, if it's gonna be probably whatever happened with those court cases. If my understanding how that works, and that's kind of a little bit out of my area, but my understanding how it works is once that court orders come in and the funds that were seized were forfeited, and they're either forfeited to the county, they would move over into one of your forfeiture accounts or back to the individual that they were taken from. And if that person couldn't be found, or that you can't find out who that belongs to, then you could turn that back over to the state of Texas as unclaimed funds. Even with no name, you can still turn those in as unclaimed funds, and it takes the liability portion off of your books.
Can I say something on that? On that account, when Larry was the auditor, we had separate seizure accounts. We had a Southeast Texas Narcotics Task Force. We had a narcotics task force from the sheriff's office. We had a sheriff's seizure, and we had a DA seizure. Okay, Larry combined all those bank accounts together. He dumped all those funds into that one bank account. So that's when I went through the records to identify what receipts we had kept in our office on all those different bank accounts. I could come up with receipts for all but this amount of money. And with everything we've been through the last few years, I haven't had a chance to sit down and dissect all 4 of those accounts.
So even though
Some of
it
that's from
identifies that one account, this might not be the district attorney's problem.
Exactly.
Oh.
That account, he doesn't, the entities that seize the money bring the money to us, and we receipt the money into that account. It could be Koontz PD, Lumberton PD, Silsby PD, and it's held in that account under his name
Until the case is
until the
disposed of.
case is settled. So, but where the issue came in was when Larry just
And I guess
hodgepodged.
that's what I've seen it more times, is that you've had individual seizure funds running across there instead of just the one, so.
Right, they dumped all that in together, and we've been working on it. We're just,
So would it be better to identify them to go back to the way it used to be?
Some of those are not in effect anymore. They should have been done like the Southeast Texas Narcotics Task Force. It's been disbanded for.
Right, but as long as that money's there, we gotta keep it
but we still
identified that way
have
until
money
it's
there.
spent.
We still
Right.
have money, that I could identify way back into the,
2000.
whenever that,
Yeah, it dates way back.
way
A lot of
back.
that
Probably the late
If-
nineties.
Yeah.
I suppose all this is open records, our audit report, it'll be put online and everything, but if someone happens to be going through here and look through this, and you have a job to do, and you've done your job and identified that, and you just explained it to us, but someone from outside is gonna look at this and say, well, there's $17,000 missing out of a cash fund somewhere,
No.
and
Well, it's not
Say
missing.
it's missing, it
It's
says it's
there.
not identified where it belongs, what case it goes with.
well,
Yeah.
that sounds good to me.
But
But
now,
that's not how people will take
Yeah.
this if they look at it, so we need to make sure. I guess as far as you're concerned, the next time you come in and do our outside audit, you will address whether or not this has been identified and say, okay, this, and this.
yes, we look back at to see if the management letter comments that we put in there, if they've been, if there's been any action on them. And if there has not, then it shows up again and shows up as prior year matter. So it rolls forward so that you're able to see that matter is not cleared up yet.
That explained my question, but I'm just going by, if somebody was to get this and look, it could be misleading, so.
And I did print out, the only thing I have, from GSA, I printed out every sheet I could on those funds before I lost all the information, the historical information from GSA. And we have a whole file cabinet, it's just getting where we can
Get to it.
sit down and dissect it piece by piece.
A lot of
by
those,
piece.
you and I have talked a lot in the past about these accounts, but a lot of those have been closed out, that we could close out, correct?
On those cases?
No, I'm just talking about, we had so many bank accounts, I think she
Oh.
identified
Yeah,
40-some.
Yeah.
We've narrowed down bank accounts.
Okay.
We're at what we
Well,
have to have.
yeah, and what I was talking about on the bank, on the funds, that actually has to do with how you're keeping up with your accounting, that you're having different funds that we're looking at. Now, you did have some accounts, some cash accounts that were not recorded on your trial balance. I've talked to Candace and Angela about that. They're your elected official accounts, and we see that occasionally. And we've made, one of the journal entries is adding that on as a fund so that is accounted for in your trial balance, so that everything is all in one place.
So basically, if I understand it correctly, because we don't have a disposition on these cases is why that's showing.
Yes, sir.
Right.
It needs to be looked into, and that's something that the auditor and treasurer will work on getting that answered for the next time that she comes to audit us, which won't be long.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So,
Commissioner Cooper.
On
Commissioner
behalf
Kirkendall?
of Ken Pelt, who's not here, he always asks this question, anything illegal or anything like that that you've seen that the county should be made aware of or be concerned with?
Well, in our review, we pulled probably in excess of 260 of your transactions that I actually went through and looked at the invoices for capital assets. So in anything that I reviewed, there did not appear to be anything where fraud was involved. Everything looked like it was posted correctly, invoices were accounted for, so everything looked great on that part. Overall, for that question is that in doing audits across the United States, I think the percentage is about 3 to 4% is how fraud being detected in an audit. It's not very common that it gets detected in an audit. Most common way is that your audit, that the fraud part is found is when you've done cross-training within your employees and that they've taken that time off so somebody else is working that position, and that usually finds out, that's why I think a lot of the banks, they'll require everybody to take a week or 2 weeks off. They're handling that cash so that shows up, so.
Right, okay.
But
Which
I don't know if that answers your question, but.
It does, because
Okay.
I know our departments are very well with that, but
Right.
on behalf of Ken, he always asks that
Okay.
question, so.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Roberts, any questions or comments?
Looks great.
I just have one quick comment.
Okay.
If memory serves me right, I believe when we adopted our fiscal year 16 budget, that we had committed somewhere around $800,000 of our surplus to that budget. And according to this audit, it looks like we actually added $160,000 to the surplus. So we didn't use any surplus money in that budget, and we actually added $160,597 to the surplus. So kudos to all the department heads who made that happen.
Yes.
That's the only comment I had. The only other comment I guess I have is that we really appreciate all the time that you've spent, especially the past few weeks, working days and nights with Candace and Angela, weekends and what have you, to make sure this was here for us today. Thank you.
You bet.
Anything else?
Just appreciative of all the hard work. I know y'all worked really hard, so.
I move that we
They have
accept the
been
outside
great.
audit report for fiscal years ended September 30th, 2016.
Second.
Have a motion by the chair and a second by Commissioner Kirkendall. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Move to adjourn.
Have a motion by Commissioner Kirkendall and a second by Commissioner Cooper. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're
Yeah,
adjourned.
let me change
You
my
made the
vote.
motion,
I'm-
Anna.
I was gonna say, I wanna stay here a little bit longer. That's good.
Thank you again.
Thank you, and, y'all have my card, so you have any questions,
Yes.
whatever,